Hello and welcome back to the International Qualifiers. We're getting into the European Grand Finals where we have Vega Squadron facing up against Na'Vi. A very exciting best of 5 ahead of us. Real quickly, I just want to introduce the panel for this series. It's going to be Draskell on my left. We also have Toby as one of our commentators, and we'll be joined by Merlini as our casting team. Now, real quick, guys, I know you guys want to be able to get into this game, but first, I want to take a look at where these two teams came from. How did they actually get into the Grand Finals? And to do that, we're going to start off looking at the group stage. Now, we're not going to look at Group A because neither one of these teams came from Group A. Group B is actually, despite the fact that people are like, oh, Group A is really strong, Group B was actually the group to be, apparently.
Group B was so hard to predict. I know when we were talking about this even before all the regions of the qualifiers began, we were like, man, you got Na'Vi, Vega, and Hellraisers in there. It's really difficult to separate the top two out of this. And then Yellow Submarine came out of nowhere. London Conspiracy 2-0 Na'Vi in their first series. And this whole group became actually harder than Group A was at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, London Conspiracy is the only team who managed to take a game off of Na'Vi. If that doesn't say something about, like, one of the two teams that people pretty much didn't expect anything out of, and they took the only loss against Na'Vi in that group.
To be fair, Na'Vi should have lost a lot more in the group stage. I
True.
think they had, like, 3 or 4 games that if it were 40 or 50 minutes in, like, pretty much 15 minutes before the ending, I would prefer to be in the other team's shoes if I could have chosen a side to be in. So, I mean, they pulled out some ridiculous wins, some amazing RPs, rapiers, you name it, it was there for Na'Vi. But this group was really, really tight. Hellraisers ending up at the bottom, which actually some people thought that they should have been directly invited to TI over VP Polar for that European slot. It just says a lot about this particular group. And even the open qualifier team they actually got 4th. London Conspiracy should have 5 points. But they were really, really strong, and they almost took a game off Na'Vi. It was almost 1-1 with a punch pick.
Yeah, it actually ended up coming down to Vega Squadron basically needing to win the rest of the games where they ended up losing to Na'Vi. They tied against HR and then had to win against the two upstarters of Yellow Submarine and London Conspiracy in order to take that second place slot to move on into the playoffs. So if Na'Vi and Vega Squadron, now they did face up against each other in the group stage, 2-0 to Na'Vi. They also faced up previously in Dream League, another 2-0 to Na'Vi. Seeing a pattern here, but we move on from the group stage into the playoffs. Now, this is where the really interesting thing happens, right? Because Vega Squadron start out in the 4th place position facing up against NIP, who I would say a lot of people thought were a very strong team. And somehow they managed to beat them 2-1, despite the fact that some of the, at least one of those games looked really iffy for Vega.
I got to say, that series, I don't even know how they got out of that. Vega Squadron seemed to be that team who were always in, a horrendous position at some point in the game. I want to say there was a 15,000 golden experience swing during one of those matches yesterday against NIP, and they just managed to pull it back. In both games, I'm just shaking my head going, how did you actually win? And for me, I think the biggest thing was Seema the Slayer playing on a shaker is actually what saved the entire series for them.
And then they moved on to face up against 4ASC. We just watched that series. What did you guys think? A clean 2-0 for Vega, though not very clean games for either side, to be sure.
It just seems to be Vega's strong point. We look at Na'Vi, for example. They're great at playing chaotic Dota. I would actually say that Vega kind of match up similarly in style, but maybe Na'Vi are just a bit more polished in their execution and their late-game decision-making. I think Vega always pick also kind of the same heroes. They love their AoE team fight. You see Clockwork a lot, Gyro, some Darkseer, Disruptor as well, a hero that they favor very heavily. So I'm kind of wondering if Na'Vi aren't going to watch these matches and see that pattern and just say, well, we're going to take away Disruptor, and we're going to take away your Clockwork or Gyro, and then see if they can beat him. And they've shown in the past, again, they 2-0'd them twice in a row. So I'm actually still favoring Na'Vi here.
Now, we are talking a lot about Vega and their progression through the playoffs, but Na'Vi did have that winner's bracket match where they faced up against 4ASC. Ben, I believe that you said that you didn't think that Na'Vi should have won that series, that 4ASC should have been able to take that 3rd game, right?
I think a lot of people underestimate the Winter Wyvern. And so Nico, I knew him well for his Disruptor a few months ago, and then when he got picked up by Na'Vi, he continues to play Disruptor sometimes, but he has just amazing play on the Winter Wyvern, and I don't really think I've seen a support match that level of play, but he's able to. It fits their playstyle well, just because Havos is, a little crazy now and then.
Yeah. Well, there was actually a video that came out of that combination, Havos and Seneko together, and it's going all over the Dota community right now, which is just Havos getting into these positions where he should be dead To all accounts, he should be dead. And Seneko just comes in as his guardian angel and just protects him every single time. Like, you just put him under, then they move off, and then Havors gets more space, and he comes back in again and puts himself into that horrible position again. Seneko is always there for him. He really is a man that deserves so much credit for Na'Vi getting into the winners bracket final.
Okay, so it seems like we're going to get into now breaking down the teams individually. So let's actually have a team breakdown and pull up each one of the individual players. I'd like to start personally with Na'Vi, since they are the team that I think everyone is kind of looking at to be the favorites here. And we were just having a discussion about how strong Seneko in particular is. Anybody else from Na'Vi that you guys think are particularly stand out?
I think Dendi and Funnick. Dendi's had miraculous performances on the Leshrac, and I would say in the prior patches, like 6.83 and a little bit before, he wasn't that dominant of a mid. Like, sure, people are scared to go up against Dendi in mid, but in terms of him controlling and winning the game, it was very, very few. But now that Queen of Pain's back, Leshrac's a popular solo mid, they're winning a lot more when he is able to play that sort of hero and dominate. Their record in this month is actually under 50%, which is a little bit surprising because most teams that you would expect to be in this division have like at least 60% plus, similar to what Vega Squadron has. But they just haven't been that strong, I would say, earlier in May and even April and March of this year. But now that the patch favors more aggression, killing more, less farming, I think that they finally found a patch that is Na'Vi style.
Chaotic gaming. Yeah, I'm kind of inclined to agree with Ben here. I just think that anytime you have a patch where there's high-octane play, we see some games go long, but I think that's more because it's like breaking high ground is something that a lot of teams, even from 6.83, are still kind of hesitant to try, especially when there's this much on the line, right? Like, you want your guaranteed ticket to TI. You don't want to have to play in wildcard at this point. So if the game ends up going late, I still think that Na'Vi will probably have an advantage, just sheer experience, as they've been together, I think, a little bit longer as a squad than Vega. And also they can stand there and fight any team, like CIS related or otherwise. If you're just going to go for this really big, we want to skirmish all the time style, you get your Winter Wyvern, you get something for Dendi that he can control the mid game on, and I think they'll do well.
All right, so what about the drafting style? Since we have art style right up there, drafting-wise, do you think Na'Vi have advantage with the experience that they have? And, I mean, I felt that personally when art style joined the team that he was going to be able to push Na'Vi in a very focused direction, which seemed to be, in my opinion, the biggest downfall of Na'Vi in previous iterations. Do you guys think that is a big strength at Na'Vi, or do you actually favor Vega?
I think it's a big strength. And I think since it's a best of 5, it's even better for Na'Vi because they evolved in this series yesterday. First game, they lost versus 4ESC's PL. Second, third game, Coddle PL ban every single time. And they seem to control the game a lot better. Also, they stole the Shadow Demon pick and stole the Leshrac pick that 4ESC likes so much. So, like, I don't think they studied that much going into the game, unfortunately. I think that's why they lost 0-2 to London Conspiracy. But they evolved very quickly inter-series or intra-series.
I would say that's a good point. And against Vega, to be honest, I don't think they've really picked that many heroes. Like, they kind of pick the same stuff every single game. Granted, they're good at their own style, and I think that if they can have a decent laning phase, their mid game is going to be really strong. But overall, it's just like, if you pick the same thing every single time against a drafter like Art Style, he will eventually pinpoint your weakness. And as like Ben said, it's a best of 5, so eventually you might just get figured out.
Or do we look at it from the other angle of like Art Style's weakness? Because for me, one of the picks which I keep seeing him going back to is this Night Stalker support. Yep. He does it time and time again, and it really seems like bite him in the arse is like the saving grace when you come in like 30 minutes into the game. That's when you got your Ags up and you gem up, and then they win the vision battle. And as we've all been saying, like it's team fight kind of style. That vision is the way to win. But it also weakens their lanes heavily, and I'm concerned that during this series we're going to have something like that, whereas there's a high risk draft for a good reward, but Vega can punish that. Vega are known, like I've cast a lot of games with these guys, they will push and they will win the game before 20 minutes. Even with the current patch, they will still do this. But for TI qualifiers, they've kind of like taken a step back and really gone into this mid-game kind of focus kind of style, which is great for them and it's great for winning up the games. But if they have the ability to switch it around on Na'Vi, and I think Na'Vi should be very much aware of that. Like, there's still a lot up for grabs. It's a best of 5. You're going to have to use every kind of trick you got in the book to get that main spot, TI5.
So we hear Toby bringing up a little bit of doubts about the Na'Vi dominance. Ben, Draskell, what do you guys think that Vega need to do to be able to provide the upset, since you seem to be leaning towards, okay, Na'Vi are more experienced. They have, it's a best of 5, which is to their favor when it comes to drafting and everything such. What have you seen from Vega Squadron do you think that they need to focus on in order to take out Na'Vi?
I think that Driscoll mentioned Seema the Slayer and how much he had in the impact in the mid game as a shaker in the later game. I think that it's really important for them to match Suniko's aggression in the early game, or at least kind of halter it. Just because I remember he played Winter Wyvern one game. He like got a kill in mid, killed a courier, and then killed their offlaner, all within like 3 or 4 minutes time. And that one support did more than usual 2 supports on the team do. So he kind of just went above and beyond what he should do, and they need at least one player or both to kind of match and mirror his movement or put enough pressure that he's forced to play reactionary instead of a very active play style.
I would also say for Vega's side, this guy right here, Mag, he's always been the one to watch for me. He's had an extremely consistent performance. I very seldom see him just have a blatant misplay. For example, yesterday when they were playing solo, had a few kinetic fields and storms that were just complete whiffs in team fights that were very pivotal. Mag is not a player who makes those types of mistakes. So if you can put him on a hero like Beastmaster, you can see his top plate here. Clock and Beast being at least the 2 favorite that I have watching him play. He can control the game for you if you give him the opportunity, and I think that would be amazing for Vega.
It's actually kind of crazy looking at his average deaths as well. When you only got like 3.9 average deaths inside of a game. When you're an off-lane player, like you should be dying more than this, but he's able to stay alive. Like the clockwork for him, like for me, you've got to be looking to take the clockwork out in the ban phase. You cannot let him have it. He splits these fights up. That initiation, we saw it earlier in the previous series.
Yep.
He's just always on top of the fight, locking in the heroes, and not just locking in the heroes. His positioning in the fight splits the fight, almost similar to like what the Black Hole was in that Roshan fight in the last series. You put the cogs in the same position, and you've got 3 heroes on one side, 1 locked in the middle, and 1 on the far side. And you're like, well, how the hell are we supposed to fight this? That's the kind of chaos that he creates and makes it impossible for teams that develop these kind of like big team fight combo builds to play even a team fight because they're just split up so hard.
Now, I'm hearing a lot about the supports and the offlaner. What do you guys think about the 1 and 2 position of Vega? We looked at them earlier. It's Pasha. I don't think a lot of people talk about Pasha a whole lot.
He's so unique.
Why do you think that is?
It's kind of hard to really focus on carry play because a lot of the time you're prioritized in farm. So whenever you get farm, people are like, oh yeah, you're just supposed to have it, right?
Sure.
So it's very easy to overlook that kind of player. But I think that Pasha is maybe one of the more, not necessarily reserved, but he's very good at in-fight decision-making, and I don't see him often go for like these base dives and stuff like that where he puts himself in a bad spot and then ends up dying without a trade. So at the very least, if he ever gets into a team fight where he knows that he's likely to be targeted and go down, he ensures that he always brings people with him. And I think that's really important when you're in these high-level games is don't just die for free. And I think that, I mean, you just look at his deaths average, it's 2.9 and 8. I mean, yeah, he's a position 1, but still, his overall KDA is still very high.
And what about no one? I mean, that's one of the players that we have pointed out multiple times, but it seems like, at least on this panel, we've talked a lot about the supports. No one has been a big playmaker for Vega in the past. You guys see him as being a considerable strength in just the last series that we watched against 4ASC?
I think the general mid laners that are picked nowadays, if you look at his top 3, DK and Shadow Fiend, those heroes are not really impactful in the traditional sense. Like, it's not a puck. It's not something that often rotates. Like, Queen is the only one, and I think he's played it maybe 2 or 3 times right now throughout the qualifiers. I just think that as a mid-roll for this particular team, he usually adopts more of a farming style. Now, he understands how to play Dragon Knight and to rotate to lanes to be able to push with his team, get ganks off and such, which is definitely great for Vega. But in general, it's hard to just say that he has a huge impact every game when a lot of the time he's just kind of putting into a farm role, in my opinion.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, so what about predictions time? We'll start with you, Driscoll. This best of 5.
Well, I'm going to say 3-1 Na'Vi.
Okay. Toby?
I kind of actually want to say the opposite direction. I think it's actually
Okay.
I'm going to actually go with Vega 3-1. I think
You're a brave man, Toby. You're a brave man.
I'm a brave man. I can get lynched later on.
Okay.
But I have confidence in Vega. I think they're a team with like they're hitting their mark early today in the first series. If they can carry that same level of form up against Na'Vi, I think they're going to punish them really hard. And Havorst won't have that same level of space if Vega can do what they did earlier on. So I'm back in Vega 3-1.
I can already feel Ben is disagreeing with you.
Ben's against me.
Well, no, I'm just more surprised. I think he's doing it because he doesn't want to be labeled as a Na'Vi fan.
No,
that's it.
Na'Vi loses.
And he's
Toby
like, this
cries.
is my golden ticket to just.
Man, I was
out.
sitting there during the group stage, and I'm like, you know what? I actually hope that Na'Vi doesn't get through. So finally, they have to do something to really shake up their roster or shake up
And
the way
he
they
made
look
caster
at the game.
schedules. He was like, oh, I want to cast Na'Vi. I don't want to. I'm just kidding.
Well, if I wanted to cast Na'Vi, I would have put myself down that lower bracket final.
Damn. All right, Ben, your prediction?
I kind of wanted to say 3-1 Na'Vi, but I'm just gonna go 3-0 Na'Vi.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
I think
You think the Vega is that outclassed by Na'Vi?
I think their laning phase is too weak, and I think that Na'Vi is going to take too much advantage of that because they lost first. I mean, I think 4 ASC is weaker than Na'Vi, and I think that 4 ASC had a way better laning phase than Vega did. And Na'Vi, they're not the type of team that gives up a lead. They're very good at coming back, and they're very good at at continuing on a lead and snowballing, controlling the map, et cetera, et cetera. And I just don't see them, giving up like a 5,000 gold lead and turning that into a loss.
Okay.
Fair enough. Well, my prediction, I'm actually going to tie myself up with Draskell. I think 3-1. Personally, I'm thinking Na'Vi is still the stronger team. I think last time when I did the analysis for last game, I put out this vague, Na'Vi are the stronger team, but I think Marlini really locked it down, which was essentially, if you look at the way that Na'Vi would have played that same game, if they'd replaced 4ASC, they would have punished Vega harder in the laning phase, and they wouldn't have dropped as much series. That being said, Na'Vi have not looked flawless, so I do believe that they'll drop at least one game somewhere in this series.
So it's me against you three.
It really is, Toby.
In a way, but I'm very comfortable with this because if Na'Vi wins, I smile.
Yeah, but at least we're giving Vega a game. Ben's just like, no, they're not gonna win. This is not even one game.
It's just, yeah.
Well, I was completely wrong last series. I said 2-0 for ASC, so whatever.
I just really
but
feel
that should have happened though. That should have happened.
Probably.
Like, which one of Vega's games throughout the entirety of the upper and lower bracket have they played where it just looked like they were owning? Like, that's why I'm kind of struggling, is how are they going to beat Na'Vi?
Oh, this isn't going to be a clean win. This is going to be scrappy. This is going to be complete overcommitments or
mud fighting.
Oh yeah, it's mud fighting. Well, we're just going to throw some Jello in the middle of the pool here and just see them go nuts on each other because that's what I think this battle's going to turn into. It's Vega versus Na'Vi. It's gloves off, bare knuckle brawling. That's it.
All right, well, we're going to get into our draft now for the first game between Vega Squadron and Na'Vi. We're going to start out with the Keeper of the Light banned away by Na'Vi and the Undying. The quick response from Vega Squadron. Interesting that Vega actually banning out the Undying here in the first 1-2, despite the fact that we actually saw one of those games where Undying went completely untouched.
I think Vega always prioritize Undying very highly, though. I want to say in most, if not all of their games, they have first phase ban that hero. I think it also has to do with the heroes that they typically gravitate towards. Like, they love picking their melee heroes. They love picking squishy supports, which Undying in general works very well against. Like Disruptor, for example. They pick that hero almost whenever they can for SEMA or solo. So I can definitely see why you take it out here. The Keeper ban, I don't think Vega they've run it maybe one time, I want to say.
Yeah, they've definitely run a Keeper of the Light and Phantom Lancer combination with a Beastmaster on top. So they definitely run it before, and then, of course, taken away the Shatter Demon, which we did see quite a bit in the last series, though more from 4ASC.
I mean, there's a lot of good heroes left. I think that favors Na'Vi a little bit more than Vega just because you guys were talking about earlier how they like to have their 5-man AoE team fight, etc. that can move around the map a lot. So we see Shadow Fiend let through, we see Wisp let through, we see Queen of Pain let through. There are so many good heroes. And also, it's better for Na'Vi because I think Vega wants to ban a lot of those good supports, like the Winter Wyvern in the second phase, and now you have to worry about Gyrocopter and just all these ridiculous heroes.
So in this current, well, we see our answer right there. Okay. Wisp, I would agree with that for Na'Vi, but
is this just Queen Gyro right here from Vega?
It was definitely Quap. Like you're not going to pass up a Quap up against a Wisp.
Well, I know that Pasha plays quite a bit of Gyro as well. And I think it's one of his top played heroes right now, as I'm sure most core players. But yeah, Queen expecting Gyro as well. Yep, there it is. Okay.
Na'Vi had to know that. Our style had to know this going in. You pick up a Wisp as your first one, and you purposely ban out the Coddle and the SD early on too. With so much coming through, you're going to get this huge-ass team fight for Vega. And it's so much quick damage as well from Vega that I don't understand how this Wisp is meant to work unless it's just like a Bristleback combination hero. I guess that
Bristle is really good.
It's just that survive. It's not this tiny kind of jump in, we win a fight and we jump straight back out again, because that could just be disastrous because there's still Disruptor, there's still Witch Doctor, there's still so many other heroes which could cause you problems when you jump in.
You can play it like the older style. Older style is like a Centaur or an LC in your off lane. Or a Nyx assassin, and then you look for quick picks now and then, and you don't engage big team fights because you can scout out with those heroes, see if anyone's behind, and then just pick off one, even with like a Queen of Pain with a blink. And that's something that we haven't seen as much as of late, but it is one way to play around the heavy AoE team potential that obviously you don't want to relocate into a Sonic Wave and call down. That's just suicide.
But I think that's why Vega love these styles of drafts, though, is because how hard is it to go high ground already against Queen and Gyro? Just between Flat Cannon AoE, call down. You got Queen ulti as well. I'm sure he'll make an Aghanims at some point in the game. It's just non-stop spam that's going to keep you out of Vega's base long enough for them to be able to reach that late game stage. And then they just start having these scrappy team fights where they just happen to win 1 or 2, get Roshan, and then interestingly enough, they're Dire, which it always seems like when they're on Dire, that kind of stuff happens.
Now, the Dazzle picked up from Na'Vi, so they get both of their supports in the first 1-2. A very defensive support that I would say is, decently good versus these very burst-oriented heroes. Very glass cannon style in the first 20 minutes with both Queen of Pain and Gyrocopter. More focused on the offense than the defense. If you save someone with the Shallow Grave, they can actually still make that turnaround even if they do die. But it does leave your draft, I would say, a little bit locked in supports, at least the laning phase, but it does leave it very open when it comes to core play, right?
It's okay to lock your draft with supports because right now, if you look at Vega's opening 2, it's Queen Gyro. So the thing that you can deduct from that is that their lanes are already going to be strong no matter what. Yep, which means that if you pick a melee core or something like that, you have the potential for Vega just saying, okay, we pick 2 range supports, go aggro, that lane loses, or we go like a 2-1-2 and the lanes still lose. So Na'Vi can't afford to commit to picking a core this early because it would not only lock in the core hero itself, but it would also mean that their lanes, no matter what, would probably be weaker than Vega's, but that's not how you want to do it.
But by picking up something like Dazzle and Wisp, you're obviously then just saying we're not going to get involved in changing the lane equilibrium until we hit 10-15 minutes in when the cores can do something more. So can't Vega just manipulate this and go with something like the Chen or the Enigma and farm up inside the jungle? You're going to win a huge economic battle right now.
That's not necessarily true. They can always do a Dazzle something off lane, which is pretty strong. They already bring the Bristleback to prevent that sort of outcome, but Na'Vi having those, if they left so many heroes in the pool, they actually don't have that many supports left that are good versus the Wisp. Shadow Demon's okay, so you don't get bursted down. Disruptor is really, really good, which Vega go to a lot. And Ancient Apparition is also really good. So I think Na'Vi, they go into this draft, it's okay, we're going to pick Io. They're not going to, if they pass up Queen of Pain or Gyro, they get Wisp plus Queen of Pain or Gyro. And I think that's just silly. So they can't let them, they can't not pick those. So I think they know that they're going to pick Queen of Pain and Gyro. And on top of that, they just leave all the supports that are gone. So now they're going to have subpar supports.
They could take Lion or Shaker here. I think those are the most likely heroes for Vega. As Shaker is really good against counterplay for Wisp in general, Lion is kind of the same. Lion leaves your lanes more flexible, which I believe that Vega as a team want to be more flexible against this draft already, seeing the weakness of a Dazzle Wisp lane. So it always leaves you the potential to go aggro. But they go Witch Doctor instead, another good Wisp hero, or Wisp counter.
Oh, okay, so this they can go back to a Wisp plus Puck plus I don't know, even a Lifesteal or something like that. We've talked about Puck a lot, and he actually hasn't been picked up that much. And he was generally viewed as a good counter to the Shadow Demon, but he's versus the Queen of Pain this time. And if they know the Queen of Pain is going to be mid, and they know he's going to be picked up, they can wait to pick it later. I'm actually a little bit surprised Vega didn't actually ban it, but having to use a ban on Brood as well as Bristle is pretty mandatory.
I really like this pickup from Vega Squadron. I think they're really hoping that Na'Vi will reveal their offlaner. Okay, that's definitely an interesting one. But I think about this, Vega Squadron can still leave open the Sand King Chant or something like Toby mentioned, which they can utilize the jungle if only Na'Vi would reveal the fact that, okay, we're definitely going defensive tri-lane or we're going dual lanes. But
we have to hear what Draskell has to say. Okay. What's up, man? What's up?
So my assumption right now is Bloodseeker partnering with Dazzle isn't actually that bad, right? The Puck coil pretty much guarantees Blood Right's going to land. So you're going to have a nice silence follow-up. It's pure damage. I see the synergy in the way that they want to run it. And plus, if you rupture somebody, you can get a really big Dazzle heal as well. You can just walk up to him, and then it's he can't move anyway, right? If he moves, he dies. If he doesn't move, he gets a big Shadow Wave. So, I see the synergy. I just really think that Vega can punish these lanes. So Na'Vi right now, we're assuming they're picking their offlaner, or that is their offlaner, right? It's just going to be Bloodseeker position 1 or Bloodseeker offlane, which means at best he goes up against Beastmaster. They probably trade farm. The heroes offer pretty different things during the mid-game. Queen versus Puck is a wash, kind of player skill-based, maybe slightly favored for Puck. And I still feel like Vega's their farming hero and their support are both still stronger. So I'm kind of wondering right now for Na'Vi what the actual game plan is supposed to be. And we saw the line ban as well, because I was expecting Vega that they were going to pick that up a little bit earlier instead of the Witch Doctor.
How are you meant to win this game as Na'Vi?
Bloodseeker is good. It's not that the pick is... It's not a bad pick, it's just surprising, because Bloodseeker is one of those heroes where he can explode very quickly, because you go in, you Blood Rage to be able to deal more damage, right? And then if you get caught out by a Roar, or just the sheer amount of AoE damage that Vega has with the Queen, the Gyro, even Axes, and a Death Ward flying around, you can very easily just pop, right?
That's what the Dazzle's for.
Yeah, but you Grave, but
you can heal it with...
I'm skeptical of the Seeker pick.
I'm very skeptical, too. I'm just trying to see it from their point of view. Whereas, okay, if Bloodseeker goes in, tanks a Roar, tanks a Cask, tanks a Witch Doctor Ultimate, as well as a Sonic Wave, you can Grave him up, or and then he can maybe heal up with his bloodbath. That's not that great of synergy. I think more so they're not looking for Bloodseeker to get caught out. They're going to initiate with the Puck. I think Puck's going to be the key hero in this draft to initiate on people, and then Bloodseeker follow up, and then they get kills, and they just keep getting kill after kill after kill, as opposed to Vega Squadron being able to like roar and then just dump all their AoE and just kill somebody. So I think Puck really needs to be able to control this game.
Okay.
Toby already pumped the first game of the best of 5 grand finals, and he's got a black hole.
Well, it's that, and it's also like I get to be right. Like you look at what Vega's doing, and they're realizing like Na'Vi is not going to initiate into them for so long.
It could be like a core silencer though. You never know. Like
true, but I sort of think that's a problem for Vega. Vega are looking at this where they're like, we're going to get so much money that Beastmaster doesn't have to buy the mech. Not like Enigma can take care of that. They're not going to come into his jungle and try and stop him from doing this. Then the Witch Doctor should be able to take care of the Wisp. It's still one of their favorite support heroes to run. And all the control factors are still there. The Puck might cause some issues for Vega, but I don't see them being that big. Vega's going to be able to actually win this on money and almost money alone. This Ven's a huge problem, though. This Ven, if he gets if a Force gets massive, he's going to shred apart Vega's lineup. But it's only if he gets massive, and I think he's going to lose a lot of his buildings before he can do so.
So last pick of Sven, Draskell, what do you think about that?
It reminds me of old Alliance and Empire when they used to pick Wisp and Sven a lot. They would go like phase drums, just run crazy fast with just buy BKB, Mask of Madness even, just go into team fights. I feel he's very high single target damage, and he's also very high AoE damage as well when you get to the late game. So he still matches up well against Gyro, who is primarily spread damage, like you're relying on flak, and you're called on to be able to kill people during the late game, which is obviously very good against Wisp, which Na'Vi do have. But I think that if the Sven gets enough items, Na'Vi always have the opportunity to win the game, just because of relocates and what God's Strength can give you. Just the sheer burst damage potential, one crit just ends the game. So it is definitely scary for Vega.
And Ben, what do you think about the laning phase then? If Na'Vi are going to be running that Sven, dual lane's a huge possibility.
It's definitely
here.
their weak point, I would say. I mean, on top of that, they don't have any way to interrupt a BKB black hole, so they're actually concentrating on winning the early game so that they don't get BKBs, because they have like almost 0 BKB counters, whereas Vega, they're already really good at kiting. Like Witch Doctor Cass is enough of a dissuasion versus this double melee. They have the Enigma black hole, they have Beastmaster with his roar, so it's going to be tough if it gets to BKB wars, and Na'Vi need to win it early, need to get 10,000 gold lead by 30 minutes and to have a really good shot at winning.
Now, it almost seems like Vega are actually going to be putting Mag at the top lane. Can they run as sort of a pseudo like aggressive dual lane, basically at bottom to be able to contest?
I don't think so.
No,
I
Well,
think
if it's just the Bloodseeker down there, you can get away with it, and that's exactly what Na'Vi are doing. They're actually taking.
If
It's
they
not just
expect an
Bloodseeker,
aggro,
right?
then yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
they're actually sending Sven up towards the top lane, so you just leave the Beastmaster on the top to deal with it, and then Na'Vi practically have to change their lanes up almost instantly, unless they're happy with the fact that Sven can be on top lane fighting some decent farm, but they're probably not going to find kills. Like, the Dazzle might be able to aggressively move into the jungle and contest the Enigma's movement, but beyond that...
I think they just switch it up. I think then they just move Bloodseeker top and then just move the Tri to bottom, and then the Tri can win the lane as well as pull, so it's a win-win. But, I mean, they're Radiant offlane, though. Radiant offlane as a Tri, I think, is much stronger, because even if you don't win the lane, you can out-economize by using that big pool. If you're on the Dire offlane, it's not as easy.
All right, Draskell, I'm going to give you the last word here. Quick final thought before we cut over to our casters.
I think it's very likely that the Sven gets kited this game, as Ben said, and I do think that Vegas draft is stronger. Na'Vi are going to have to outplay to win.
All right, guys, and that brings a close European Grand Finals here for the TI Qualifiers, Na'Vi versus Vega, game number 1 in this best of 5. We passed it off to our casters, Toby 1 and Merlini.
Well, Merlini, let's see what kind of hell we're about to walk into, because I'm loving this from Vega. I'm actually worried that your 3-0 prediction will not be correct.
I think they're relieved. They're like, yes, we made it to Seattle, and then, they...
Yeah, you're saying for Vega is relieved they made it, or is it Na'Vi and they're just gonna like chill and relax a little bit here?
Vega's relieved. They surely are.
Oh,
I don't know. Maybe it'll
have,
be the same story as the North American.
Hey, man, if I was Vega, if I'm reading Vega, I think they're absolutely ecstatic and they're riding a high and they're looking to push for number 1. Like, that's it. They want to get the main event. None of this wild card kind of business.
What about like Nar? Nar, they beat Mouse 2-1, and then they just get crushed in the grand finals because they're like, yes, we finally made it, and then they used all their effort on winning the lowers bracket finals.
Are you trying to compare American Dota to CIS Dota? Like CIS, once you start drinking vodka, you don't stop drinking vodka. It keeps going. The train keeps going. Where in America, I'm not going to go on that one, actually.
Mouse American? Come on, Toby.
Yeah. What is that nonsense? Land finals, next TI. Ba-bump. So, Lanes, Funnick, best of luck to him. So, Vega will be running a aggro tri-lane in a way, because Enigma has come to the Radiant jungle. He'll be here for a limited time only, but he is going to be just avoiding completely Navi's movement on the top.
That's a really smart move by Vega, and I think dodging just puts... It's way better for Vega because they have the Enigma. They want the Enigma to be completely uninterrupted, and the Navi, they want to be stacking with Wisp, to try and counter that farm. But if you're in the Dire jungle, you don't really want to stack, especially when there's a Gyro and a Quap and a Beastmaster and an Enigma. All of those can take out stacks. So
it's too easy to lose it out, so why not have your presence on the bottom lane where you can actually lend a Malefice or potentially help him get first blood?
Yeah, I mean, the supports either need to take down the tower really quickly so they can utilize the opponent's jungle, or they need to get a TP scroll onto Dazzle really quickly so he can help out old poor Bloodseeker, who's currently just sitting at the tower.
This is actually really smart from all of Na'Vi. They're creep skipping this out primarily because Mag used the board to pull the camp up. And he probably thought, hey, now I can just farm onto my own tower, I can get experience. But it's allowing a Wisp combo with a Dazzle to potentially dive under your tier 1 tower. And it's coming at a large cost. We're only not even 2 minutes in, and that tower's down to 1/3 of his HP.
But you can tell that Na'Vi have the right mentality. They have two options. One, take the tower, take over opponent's jungle, or B, move down to the safe lane. But moving down to the safe lane is slowing down the game. And again, slowing down the game is bad because BKB wars Na'Vi loses. So they're taking it very aggressive, very fast. This is going to be like a sub 3-minute tower, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Dendy and no one. It's a lane really to watch. It was one of these things which I was thinking about saying during our team profiles about Dendy. That like in the first series that Na'Vi played, the one where they got 0-2, Dendy played his puck, and I sat there watching it from the couch, and I'm sitting there going, you know what, Dendy is playing as good as we're probably going to see any player play during the European qualifiers, but the rest of his team just didn't come up to the mark. And I really want to see just how well Denny is capable of doing in that mid, especially on this puck. The maneuverability on this hero is just so massive. He's got such great abilities up against his opponent, his Queen of Pain, because of the silence, because of the heavy control over on the Quap. And he also has great dodge abilities against No One too. So Dendy could just completely outplay No One, and this could change the tides of the entire game of Vega. Doesn't matter how much the Enigma's going to get. It's a Queen of Pain with no momentum up against a puck with momentum. You can get completely controlled out if Dendy can do that.
It's a classic matchup.
It really is. It really is. But we've lost the Quap, so took a large amount of damage from Dendy, and then the rest of Vega paused for him.
He's so good at dodging, and then he gets Shadow Strike. Unfortunately, he was really close to that orb dodge on the Shadow Strike, but still, he's quite. Does Quap have a salve on her?
Nope.
She's
actually got to go back to base unless that's a bottle. But she doesn't have the cash for a bottle.
The problem is she is really low, and once he gets level 4, he can actually go for a kill on the Queen, and Queen at least needs one more CS, and she doesn't have enough mana to scream. She actually went level 2 Blink. That is very, very unusual, and I think it's probably a misskill, if I had to say whether or not it was a misskill. But that is the getting level 2 Blink isn't really that great because it's just straight up cooldown reduction, which is only useful if you're chasing people. But there's no point in chasing people if you don't have any damage. So, I mean, if you're leveling up, you press Control Q as opposed to Control W. It's very easy that the finger would slip. But I'm trying to think of any other valid reason where you would go level 2 Blink over level 2 Shadow Strike.
To trade off the damage for that, it doesn't make any sense at all. A level 2 Shadow Strike would be a hell of a lot better, but you want Scream. You want to have both of them so then you cannot dodge them. So you actually want to have the double damage option.
Yeah, and it's unusual for sure. Yeah, I think it's just a straight up misskill. Unfortunately, that's really bad because the lane is very, very close to begin with, and very minor things can upset the balance of that. And because of this, let's say he has. He got 2 more Shadow Strikes off that were level 2. And then now both of them are at low HP. And I don't know if Dendy has a salve or not. Probably not. Okay, so he doesn't have a salve. But now, what is the Queen of Pain going to do? She is much ahead on CS, though. 9 9 versus 2. But if she doesn't get that last one, what is she going to do? Get a salve and then have to wait for the chicken to go all the way there,
walk all the way back to base, pick up
Yeah.
a TP scroll, you burn too much money, you would never get the bottle in time. And
Yeah,
Dendy would
both
then
of those are
catch
not
up
good.
on all your CS.
You want to be able to, like, in a ideal situation, you want to get your bottle and then get the 2-minute room. But that very rarely happens if you start off with a null. So, yeah, I'm not exactly sure how that's going to go for the Queen of Pain. But she needs at least one more CS, and she can't scream for it. So maybe she can get the one more hit under her tower, and then that'll be a lot easier.
Yeah. Then the bottle can come out. But that means just going to be very, very cautious of Dendy's positioning. We do have no one now back into the game, so we hit the go button. We'll start up again. As no one, no, he turns for it. Even trying to deny, so it gets closer. And yeah, he's got all the space in the world. Denny's making a run for the bounty rune. Okay, he's just dodging some of the damage, but he's going for the bounty rune anyway. I like how the Beastmaster basically cut his path to experience on this top lane. The top tower is still going to go down, but he's trying to get close enough that he can get experience. So there's a small, yeah, that's the little gap right there, which he's cut open, which allows him to get just close enough to pick up some experience. But without the tier 1 tower, there's no support coming his way. It's not a great time for him, but he's the sacrifice lane for Vega, because they've still got an Enigma who's got 14 CS out of the Radiant jungle.
Well, I don't know where the bottle is, but it's not coming on the way for... Okay, it's been...
There's a bottle.
It had been a call to wait, though, because he had it like 30 seconds.
It's got the extra
before.
pieces for Pasha, so it'll have to move down to the south.
Well, he has picked up Scream, and he's still ahead on CS, so he's doing very well in the lane, even though he's pressured. Now he's completely okay with the bottle. So
Yeah.
that's good. We see Funnick skirmishing around a little bit with the Enigma, most likely just keeping tabs, making sure Dendy can keep up the aggression in the mid lane. And, well, I mean, with the poor man shield, it's so incredibly difficult to harass him.
I'm actually wondering, too, if it's better for Solo to be here right now. Because it's
Well, you can't be in your own jungle,
Yeah.
not with your T1 down.
you can't be in your own jungle, but you're also making it so Funnick is capable of fighting levels, because he's leeching the experience off the Enigma and then coming in, farming up a couple of the conversions when possible. So you're still giving something to the Bloodseeker
Well-
here, where there's really nothing going to the Beastmaster yet.
It's still better than like having the high potential of dying in that offlane.
Yeah.
They have the Observer Ward in their own jungle, so they can actually scout out the movements of the supports and of the Sven, I say a little bit more importantly. And as long as they're up there, he can at least get gold, right? So earlier gold is earlier mech. I'd rather sacrifice experience over gold if you're in the position of the Enigma. Actually, I mean, he'll still get level 6 at a decent time. They have Seema there to help leech.
That bottom tower's going to get pushed pretty shortly. So what do we got for the bottom rune? So it's just going to be a bounty for the Quap, but it's bottle charges more importantly for her. She needed that after she spent most of her bottle charges just to recover from the initial harassment of Dendy.
Enigma's out of mana, and their chicken's actually busy tied up. I think I saw Basilius on the chicken, but if he doesn't have a soul ring, he's also going to have to go home and heal. And okay, he does have a soul ring.
But
That's important.
everything a good Enigma needs. And he's actually leaving the bottom lane now. So he's going to move over to the Dire side, quite visibly showing himself while he does it, though. So right underneath the tier 1 tower as the creep wave's coming up. He could have potentially gone through the tree line and kept that a little bit more of a secret. At art style, down the bottom lane, Pasha already opening up. They need a little bit more damage. Maybe there will be enough. The shallow grave, but the paralyzing cask is just isolated with art style, and that should be his death. He's going to TP back to base, but not in time. Vega will spill the first blood, and that's a big one. It goes the way of the Gyrocopter as well.
That hero creep. It blocked him in. It cask bounced to him, so he couldn't just grave TP. And well, easy first blood from Vega.
That's fantastic. When you can run a dual offlane, you've just taken the Enigma away too, and you still haven't lost this Beastmaster. We were talking about it at the start when we were looking over Vega, just how little Mag dies when he plays these offlane roles. Yes, he's not playing the jump and initiator here. He's just playing a very passive Beastmaster kind of play, but he's also not giving the options for Na'Vi. He's playing very defensive through the tree lines. Now the creep wave pushes into the tower. He'll get his experience, and Sven can't stay up here forever, because he's going to actually start to get out CS because the creep wave's pushing in too far. He's only got these two camps on the side which he's capable of farming up, as well as the top creep wave, and that can only sustain you for so long.
Yeah, I think it's about an even trade-off. Look, like Funnick CS is really high. Some of them are Eidolons, but at the same time, you have Wisp pouring up the jungle camps by pulling, and then you have Enigma doing the jungle. So overall, I think the economy damage is not too bad. I'd be curious to see what Sven is going for. He shouldn't be going for a greedy build because, again, later is bad for Na'Vi. So, like,
so shouldn't be going Midas?
Midas is, I would say, not a good choice here. He's not farming it that quickly either. I mean, if he wanted, he could have had it by now, but instead he went Treads. So I think it's a sign of a more aggressive build, maybe a Drums, Blink.
Would it be worth
anything
going
like
directly into a BKB for Vega for this event, considering just how much
I don't think
counter
so.
BKB there is?
It's kind of like, definitely not first. It's kind of like Gyro going BKB first. You just lose out on too much. You can't really farm that much. You still die occasionally. And
Nice bottom lane. Funnick, real trouble for him. That cooldown from Pasha, combining it with the Rocket Barrage is a lot of work. Solo, not too healthy here, but Arstal doesn't have anywhere near the damage. Again, we'll see the shallow grave, but he's not using the TP scroll this time around. He'll go for one wave heal and look towards Solo, but it's already done. So Pasha with a double kill, getting all 3 of Vega's kills here at the start before the 7-minute mark.
Well, this bottom lane has just been an absolute disaster for them. They had the Observer Ward down next to the rune spot. It's expired come 7 minutes, but like at this point, how do they really expect to contest the lane with just a Dazzle and a Bloodseeker? Maybe at level 1 they can because Enigma's not that strong, but now that Enigma is very high level, has Black Hole skilled, there is just no way for them to really do anything in that lane without just feeding more and more kills. Puck is going for a more aggressive build with more than 1 point in waning rift. He's actually going a 2-3-1 build. This is, you'll see 2-2-1 very commonly versus a Quap. 2-3-1 means he definitely wants to kill the Quap. And you could see just by his orb jaunt into a coil, he almost was able to secure that. But Queen of Pain countering it with a very high HP build with Magic Stick, Belt of Giant Strength into Treads.
All right, so for Mag, man, I want to ask you the question now. What does he build into? The Mega's been taken care of by the Enigma. He's got all the farm in the world from the jungle, so he's cool doing that. What do we want to see from the Beastmaster? Is it Blink? Do we look for Necros? Do we look for what?
Blink's pretty good here. I personally am a bigger fan of the Aura build from Beastmaster. Like, Drums if you need it. I mean, Gyro might get it in the end. Like Vlad, so you can do Roche with your lineup.
Yep.
Again, if you get Roche, you can drag the game out longer, and that's very, very good for them.
With Vlad's and Meg too.
Yeah.
That's one hell of an aura force pushing down towers. Funnick, again, going to be caught in trouble. The Sonic Wave has already arrived from no one, and that's got Heartstyle so low in the tree line. He managed to heal up a little bit, but Funnick trapped in here with Parcher. Now it's an Echo coming in. Maybe that savior of Na'Vi arriving in time, and it will be. Denny will pick up the double kill after arriving into the fight. The Queen of Pain was the first one to jump it in, but there's a trade-off happening at the same time.
Man, Funnick survived for so long there. I was actually pretty surprised that he was able to live. And Puck should be closing in on Blink maybe in like 3 or 4 minutes, I'd say. And that's when the real aggression can really start. Okay, actually, it's going to be a really long time. He should have a lot more CS probably, considering how the lane was going. But, you know, he's usually pretty close in CS in terms of last hits and denies. And this time he doesn't actually have that many denies. Again, this is a trade-off for the more aggressive playstyle with more points in the Waning Rift, with the way that he's edging up on the Queen of Pain. And also, the Queen of Pain is not really scared of a gank, just because like Dazzle can't really do that much. He can blink out from a Sven, and Io also doesn't reveal that much. And they have the nice Observer Ward that is pointed out. Whereas Na'Vi, he has to be scared of the Enigma. Enigma can just rotate from behind Black Hole and Puck's dead. So there was like a window, maybe like 6 to 8 minutes, where Puck has to be a lot more scared.
Especially when this vision, like, we kind of forget about it a little bit with Beastmaster. Ever since his Hawk got nerfed, you don't really expect the Hawk to be running in front of a whole bunch of heroes looking for the pickoffs. But now you actually see where Vega, like Mag, he had that Hawk watching over the Radiant Ancient, so he knows there's a stack over there, and Vega can try and contest this. And this is the flash farming for Revolt. He went for the Morbid Master to start with, so just some casual lifesteal to keep him in the fights and also allow him to do jungle and not be at really, really low life if he does get counter initiated on. In fact, the full Mask of Madness being purchased. But Vega won't let this stand for long. So either you push out the bottom lane, which it looks like they're trying to do right now, and you force a trade-off for... So if you're taking a whole bunch of stacks for a force, this is fantastic. But if you're losing your tier 1 towers on the lanes, it's almost not as worth it.
I don't think they can contest it, though, because of Black Hole. I think it's... and it's really important to get Io his level 6. I would like to see them get more farm on Dendi, just so he can get the Blink Dagger and start getting out of control, just because I think that he's a very pivotal hero. But also it is very important to have a very stacked Sven, and he's on his way there. 80 CS in 11 minutes.
TP in by the Witch Doctor to the mid lane, but I'm not seeing the rest of Vega rotate up to try and stop Na'Vi from going for this mid tower. And you do have Relocator Val with Seema hanging around tower.
Did they smoke as they rotate to mid?
I do not know, but they're coming in from behind. That's all I can say at the moment. And yep, your answer is yes. It's a full smoke up. No one with that Sonic Wave. Arstal and Denny are pretty close together, and Seema, Well, he's already used the paralyzing cask. His control factor's gone. The smoke's going to break. The observer wall, they're right on top of the rupture. Instantly on the Queen of Pain. She actually has to stop moving for now. The Midnight Pulse from Solo trying to split the fight up a little bit more, but no one's practically dead. He's never going to get the Sonic Wave up before his death, but the cooldown's going to do some work from Pasha. R-Style's so low. Denny just having to run himself away past his own Ancients, but R-Style will die. So a Quap for a Dazzle, a well-worth trade. But the Tier 1 tower wasn't taken out by Na'Vi, and now Vega will take the Tier 1 in mid.
Did they? What were the Sven and the Wisp doing? Were they taking out the Ancient stack?
No, they walked straight past it. They weren't there for it. I think they just ran up for the top rune and weren't there for the start of the fight.
They're both really low. They had to have been doing something. Is the Ancient stack still there? I think it was like a 3 stack. Okay, yeah. So he's
yeah, you're right. They must have been.
They need to finish that like right now.
Especially as the dive just seen it.
Yeah.
Gyrocopter with one set of flat cannons, he's got the whole thing.
That's a lot of like they want to do the stacks very early on so that they don't steal it. Again, they have like 4 heroes that can do the stack. So getting that up, I wonder what he's going to go for after. I think if he gets a blink, they can just kill Quap like almost every time very early on in the fight. But that was pretty good considering what the fight was. It was like a 3v5, 3v4. Okay, well, stack's very low. Sven has the ulti up.
Bomb.
There they go.
Even committing God Strength to make it done a little bit quicker from Sven. So Vega, not really looking as strong during the team fights at the moment. Like, when it happens, but that Sven's getting so much farm that like killing him off during the fights can be very difficult. Plus, Wisp has the relocate up, which we still haven't seen used yet. So Vega haven't had to fight a fight from multiple sides yet.
Gyro's getting a lot of farm too. He's keeping up with the Sven, even though Sven has had a lot more stacks because of him being able to do Ancients. So this is pretty nice start for Vega. I would say much better than I would hope for in their sort of situation. You're worried about the Enigma, getting a little bit shut out. You're worrying about your Gyro not getting that much farm, but both of those have happened.
Yep. Na'Vi's finding their grip now is at the Blink Dagger on the puck. So we should be looking at Dendy, looking for some initiations across the map. And in fact, he does it. He plays this almost, I don't want to say like his Pudge, but he likes this timing where you just get all done up. Oh, there's your Black Hole Funnick. Such a quick death. They just commit double ultis.
I think he could have at least helped there. If he blinks in and coils and stops it and then runs in and silences, but he was just there a little bit too late. It was a very nice TP by Funnick the fight before because he TP'd, popped the smoke in the reveal for the ward. But
I would look for the relocate in right now.
Yeah, they don't have hold. This is a great time for them to fight.
Especially when you have an unrevealed Blink Dagger, but this is the vision of Na'Vi. They don't see anything. Their Observer Ward got de-warded, so they don't know the opportunity is there. Even though we can see it, they cannot.
It's okay. They're still getting a lot of farm out. 5 heroes were mid for Vega, and then 2 heroes farming top, and they're farming mid lane in the meantime. And Denny's been able to get a lot more runes. I think he got the... there was a haste rune for the Wisp earlier. They got the rune for him right there with the invis, so that's another smoke used. And
ooh, is it a slip in? Nope, they're actually coming for kills. They're looking for the Dire Ancient stack.
It's down.
Yep. But they have an Observer Ward now planted so they can watch it. And they can just pop into Roshan, but the Hawk is watching. The Hawk is always watching. So the second Na'Vi break out of this, and they've got nowhere to really look for it either. So, boom, boom. The pings are coming out.
Are they close enough? They aren't close enough.
Yeah, they're going to try and contest. There's Solo. He doesn't have Black Hole available, however, but the Midnight Pulse will come down, and Avors and Funnick, they're sticking with it. They're not backing up. No one's on the high ground. No Sonic Wave available. They're going to stun him up, but in comes your cooldown with your Flat Cannon Rocket Barrage. No one's still alive in the high ground. And will he finally drop? Yes, he will to Dendy. The Dream Core might have been holding him in position, but really, it's just happy. Vega was happy to be there. The Death Ward from Seema outside the base. Now Avors is back to World of the Living. You may have got Roshan, but you've lost your life, you've lost your team, and Dendy is the only man to survive that Roshan engagement.
Very risky play by them. At the end, they did get it, so it wasn't the worst thing in the world. I think like if Vega steals it and 5-man wipes them, it's really bad, but this is acceptable, I'd say. It was a very high risk, medium reward play for them, and they just don't have that good Roach vision. With the Wisp Spirits not giving vision anymore, they have to expend an orb to
surprised they didn't even look for the Hawk. You could have put a ward in the high ground and a sentry right next to it. And you
it's in the trees. It's really difficult to see.
Yeah. That's why we needed just the obs on the high ground, but no one. Like, it's such a weird position for him to start too. But the hilarious thing is, Dendy followed him, and he had no way to get back down again. And then Seema. Like, we talked about his positioning as an Earthshaker, but he does it on almost any support hero he plays. That Death Ward's in the perfect position where Vega cannot control him. Na'Vi cannot control him.
Well, I think they underestimated two things. Firstly, their fight potential without Black Hole. I think they severely underestimated. Imagine if they had Black Hole there. That would have been
wipe.
That would have been wipe, right? So they thought that they could take a fight without Black Hole, and on top of that, they did a lot of damage before they actually got in the pit with the nice Midnight Pulse from the outside.
This is what we missed while we were watching the replay. So it looks like Dendi got solo picked off by Pasha in the river.
Being super greedy with the runes, and yeah, it's not looking very good for Na'Vi. They need to pick up a lot more kills very, very soon.
Vega are the ones rolling with the momentum. And that gyro is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Even Queen of Pain, that Aghanim Scepter is only an inch away for her, and the inch being 700 gold. And even the Witch Doctor. Medallion of Courage arrived for him shortly after the Roche fight. You got a level 2 Necro. I believe it was over on the Beastmaster. Maybe that was a level 1 Necro book, which arrived over on him. Yeah, it's level 1. But Mag is now finding this push power. So he's deciding to go against the whole initiation, because Na'Vi seems to be doing that for them. So it's just turning into this raw counter initiation, keep the vision up, and provide the Necro units for the fight.
Well, Smoke has been used. I believe they saw Gyro go, and Gyro alone, that deep, very unlikely for Vega to make that play. So they can definitely suspect that there are more people behind him, especially now that Black Hole is up. So Havost has proceeded into an Ogre Club, and Enigma has his Blink Dagger, so it's very dangerous for Na'Vi. One good Black Hole could just completely wipe away half the map control for them.
At least Denny's going to get a little bit of vision here on Mag. The relocate's coming in, and they want to commit. They're picking up the Necro books. Only Seneko coming up by himself. He didn't bring any friends. And this means the Seneko, well, actually, his Necro unit is actually trapped in the tree line, so it can't come up and attack him. So Denny will finish off Beastmaster, and this Wisp wasn't really forced away at all. A little bit of a disastrous summoning there, but still, good pick off for Na'Vi.
Well, BKB up on Sven. Again, it's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you use it, you're going to get owned by BKB as well as Roar. But if you don't, you're going to get owned by Cask as well as like Malefice and all these other things, Shadow Strike. So, I mean, he has to get it at some point. So, but it is 4,000 gold.
He'll just go standard progression. It's there's no other choice really. They're real, like, you could potentially go into what? Assault Cuirass?
You can go for crit. You can go for crit so you can farm faster so you can get your BKB faster. That's pretty much the only other option, right? It's kind of like Luna is going for,
like that casual Yasha thing,
or some people go like Butterfly before BKB just so you can farm your BKB faster. If you know that there's not going to be a lot of fighting. But again, they're supposed to be fighting a lot, and Vega just owned them at the Roche, and that's going to set them back so much.
And Vega want to fight even more now that Aghanim Scepter fully done for the co-op. Under 20 minutes, she's able to finish that. Plus having some extra help from her teammates, like this Blink Dagger on Enigma with the mech. Now Na'Vi can't go for Roshan if that Enigma is up, because he's got an easy jump into the pit. And you're never winning the vision battle when you're going up against a Beastmaster. Not a Beastmaster on the dire side, so you kind of got to accept the fact you've lost that.
So again, we see a Bloodseeker that just can't really do that much. Like, what is he supposed to do versus Gyro and Dazzle dual, or Gyro plus Witch Doctor dual lane with Enigma in the jungle? He just really can't do that much. I think he made the best of a bad situation.
Solo, is it worth the hull? No, not even required. It's a double damage co-op with the Sonic Wave. It's just a hit and run kind of thing, and no one got the license plate in Vega.
Dendi also misses Blink. I saw him waning Rift, but he wasn't actually in range for anyone to. They need return kills. He's had this Blink for. I think he got it at 13 minutes, and he hasn't been able to get the kill. I think he was like 3-0 before he got his Blink Dagger, and they just really haven't been able to make anything happen.
Well, every other time it's been Na'Vi who are the ones being initiated on while they're pretty much grouped up, or in this case now Solo. Like the one big dream call he had was right on top of the Roche pit, which is where Vega walked into, and that was all. So yeah, he's going to find his next level of control coming in with the Yule Scepter now, 20 minutes into the game. Should also keep your eyes very closely on Denny's. He'll blink up. Solo potentially can clean up the tree line with a Midnight Pulse, and that might find him. Denny just playing the smoke and mirrors game.
And Enigma's BKB is coming out pretty darn soon. And Na'Vi, they have to be worried about this.
They haven't slowed him down at all. Like, Hey, okay. When Enigma first started coming back, what was it, 3, 4, maybe 5 months ago? Like, there was these missions to go into the enemy jungle, ward up every single camp to make sure the Enigma had no space to grow. And this Enigma has had all the space. First starting in the Radiant jungle, then moving on to the Dire jungle, even helping out with a couple of kills here and there. Like the one on the mid lane with the Black Hole committal, like that was perfect. And then went back to his farming. Navi's got no presence on him at all. Like, there's no, like, you think an Enigma should be, no committal of, yeah, there's no reason to. Maybe with a Sonic Wave, no, he's going to Shallow Grave and walk away.
Vega's playing very smart, though. They know that they don't really have to make any moves. They have to stop Na'Vi from roaching, stop him from pushing, but
Navi's coming. They're going to stun over on Mag. Another blink away. It's just so no one could survive. Mag so low. Dandy going to jump in. Beautiful Rift, able to kill off the Beastmaster, but Parcher in the meantime got the bigger kill. Over on a Force. Now he goes for the solo one on R-Style. He'll TP out to safety. He'll have enough time to finish that one, but you've got Seema battling up against Denny with that Death Ward. No one jumps in for some revenge, and it will be the Queen of Pain bringing down Puck, and that's a big streak. And some good money coming the way. 536 gold going in. And majority of it going to the Gyro and the Quap.
The Sven can't even kill the offlane Beastmaster, though. He like went in on him, he ulted, he BKB'd, and then he still couldn't kill him. And that's really a bad tune for Na'Vi. And again, Vega are just playing extremely well. They know that the pressure's on Na'Vi. Na'Vi have to come to them. Na'Vi have to push towers.
But how are Na'Vi meant to do that? This Wisp and Sven combo doesn't seem to really be doing anything. Even in this fight, it's a direct 5-on-5. They're not even trying to play the positional battle. The only one who did it is Dandy when he jumps in here. He came in from above, was able to get the quick pick off on the Beastmaster, but then he's nowhere near the rest of his team. We split into 3 different directions.
Yeah, and they have to split because of Black Hole. They have
Yeah.
to split because of casks, and they have to split because of cooldown, flak, all this AoE. And that's one of Vega's strengths to their draft. They gave it to them, and I thought they had a better response for the Gyro Cop opener, but these two heroes are owning, and the Enigma.
Looks like Dazzle's going to have a little bit more fun in middle lane shortly, but the Enigma, TP out, the balls are going to hit, but a little bit too late. Looks like that middle lane did back up. And so Evorce does at least have the crit, so the damage is really starting to kick up a lot more for Na'Vi. But it's just if he can get close. Because, okay, you picked up the BKB early on. I know you were talking about the fact, no one that's... Actually, he can one-hit Saneko if he wants to. The Stormbolt will be disjointed by the blink and he'll TP out. He had Scream and Sonic Wave. That Wisp would have just exploded.
I mean, Quap has a ton of HP. She's an int treads, and she has 1,500 HP. None of them are easy to kill. They just need to be able to pop somebody. But again, no heroes are low for Bloodthirst to be that useful. Like, when's the last time we saw a Vega hero about to die except for the Beastmaster that got on by the BKB Sven? Like, heroes just aren't dying around the map. And, like, he is not your ultimate late gamer. He's not your 1v5er. He is a constant fighter. He can heal up by killing people, and he gains damage from people that are hurt. And no one's getting hurt except for creeps in lane and neutrals.
And that's not going to help him at all. Well, he'll have one bigger thing that's going to get hurt shortly. That's going to be Roshan. He spawns up in about a minute from now. And Vega have been looking for it for a while. Like, ever since the potential spawn time, they've been poking their heads in and out of that pit, waiting for Roshan to spawn up. And Na'Vi are going to know this too. In fact, they're already pinging out and moving over there, which is hilarious considering Vega's positioning. So they're going to smoke and move to Roshan, but Vega are completely off the map. So everyone's missing. You would assume that they're actually in Roshan.
This could be disastrous. Like, imagine if they were waiting up the hill smoked and then they blink Black Hole.
Yep.
Or, like, BKB Black Hole.
It's only a difference of 10 seconds, man, because they're 10 seconds away from being in that exact position. And now we've realized it. Yeah, there's no Roshan, so where do they go? The only logical choice is to push a tier 1 tower.
This, at least in this bottom area, they have a ward. They have a ward a little bit up where Sven is close to, but they want to fight under vision, and this is a really good place for them to fight because they can just pop the Enigma, hopefully. But then again, this is before BKB. They need to win this.
Smoke's going to break. They know there's some in the trees. They're going to see R-Style. First stun's over on him with a Sonic Wave. Can they get the damage up before he gets a Shallow Grave? No, he's already down. No Shallow Grave available. And Evorce isolated on the side again to this Death Ward. The Yule Center from Denny will end up cancelling that one out, but he's isolated as well. Orbing down into the river on 140 live. He'll survive. Funnick will TP out as no one got himself somehow caught in the trees, and that's a 2-for-1 trade-off. But Vega, you lost the Enigma. You didn't have to commit the Black Hole. You could probably just pop in for Roshan now. I believe he's up. And, yep, the answer is yes. And you've even got an Alpha Wolf to help you on your run.
Sven just keeps getting owned in all these fights. They have no other targets to worry about because Wisp doesn't really have the items that he needs. What item did Wisp go for? He went for drums instead of mech, right? So he doesn't really have that much sustain to keep the Sven alive. And they think Sven's safe with like the War Cry to counter the Death Ward and BKB to kind of deal with everything else. But like the Boar Slow plus the Roar is just exceptionally strong versus him.
Vega, they just keep racking it up, and it's insurance now for the Gyro. You've actually got no direct damage into the Gyrocopter at the moment because he went directly for the Talisman. So with the crit, there's no Monkey King Bar coming in for this event. So there's no direct damage. So how are they meant to actually even kill the Gyrocopter in these fights? Not to mention, like, around, like, if we take all the control factors out of Vega, potentially they can do it.
Yeah, I mean, he's not supposed to be this farmed at this point, right? I mean,
well, he's not supposed to be.
I know. I mean, even on paper though, it doesn't sound that strong. Like Rupture, Gyro doesn't need to move. He wants people to stay in the same area with Call Down and with Flykin, and you just want to be able to right click. So Rupture is not going to do anything.
Well, at least this is one good fight now for Na'Vi as Vega. They're coming in one by one. Magmon have actually triggered off these Necro units, which are keeping Seneko in a little bit of trouble. Oh, hello, Dazzle. He'll go down to Pasha. But you've got Enigma and a Dazzle, a Wish Doctor that just died underneath the top tower. Potentially, it could have been the Beastmaster as well, and that would have been really big for Na'Vi.
Well, they know that Gyro doesn't have a TP scroll, so they are going to move on to that side of the map, get a couple of important kills.
Gyro's kind of all there alone in the mid. He's still feeling more confident than anybody. He's got so much damage with the Alpha Wolf behind him, plus the evasion, plus the Aegis, plus the lifesteal with the armor and regen that comes with that helm.
And 3 BKBs are coming, or 3 BKBs are coming up very soon.
Yeah. All of the immunity for Vega. They're still not ready to go high ground, though. Like you got your Necro books, which are available from the Beastmaster. They are up at level 3 right now, but you don't have the... Like, I would say you don't have the jump in initiation. I don't want to count the Enigma Black Hole as that, because you kind of want that to be like your follow-up. But if you can get that Blink Dagger now over on the Beastmaster, then they've got a potential way of getting an early pick-off on Na'Vi and then making the hole to go high ground.
But Sven can't really walk in either, right? He doesn't have a Blink Dagger, so he can't, like, blink stun Queen of Pain before she BKBs. So, like, when she... Like, and a puck coil isn't enough time for them to not pop their BKB. So the amount of coordination that Na'Vi needs to win a team fight is, like, extraordinary. Whereas all it takes is, like, one half-decent black hole for Vega to win. And, of course, like, a roar on BKB Sven, which Mag has been doing every single fight.
So you prefer to see, like, an Enigma jump to almost sacrifice himself to drag Na'Vi into the fight?
I mean, that's fine. I mean, the other problem is they have better vision. They have the Hawk.
You might get your wish. Sonic Wave for Vorst down half of his life. Running away with that War Cry, but they're chasing after him in solo. The one-man hole, Seneko looking for the relocate out. He actually got caught inside the black hole. The follow-up, Raw Seneko will drop. He has managed to save Vorst from many much worse deaths than that, but this time around it just does not work.
Yeah, I'll walk into the black hole with you. That's what friends do.
Together we shall go down with the ship.
Let's hold hands.
They are just like Jack.
Well, that was... That's bad.
Someone needs a pan flute. But it's just the edge of it. Hilarious is like just positioning of it. Interrupt just as the edge he hits it.
It's so black and shiny. I must gravitate towards it.
You know, if it was golden, I could understand it, but it looks like Solo doesn't have the extra money
Vega
to
just
buy the compendium.
Crushing through all of Navi's defenses. I mean,
Bloodseeker dies in the bottom lane in a random area, and now it's 20-9, 30 minutes in, and Vega, it's like, wait, the Bloodseeker's down. There's Vents coming back up, but they've got more than enough time just to beat the crap out of the tier 3 tower. It's down, and even some damage into the range racks. Now, you do have Sven back up. You've got Pasha up in the air. He'll trigger the BKB and instantly turn into the call down. Now, there's no flat cannon available, so he's merely posturing at the moment, and Vega are looking just to retreat.
Buyback for a BKB charge. I would say that's pretty good. They do have reserve reward, so we may see him turn around.
He's so far up. The Mallet for stun. He's going to let the Dream Call go over on Seema. You do have that Hex over on Solo too with a Stormbolt to control him up. We're now into the Death Ward. Denny, there's no more Dodger, is there? There's the phase shift available for him. They run away, but it's a triple kill for Pasha as he just stands his ground and becomes a man. Puck is the last, 60 life points, Denny. How many times has he escaped on nothing? But they actually just call it. This game is over. They can't force any more fights. Vega have just walked over Na'Vi here in game number 1.
Crushed. I mean,
yes.
Gyro, Queen of Pain is like the dream opener for most teams. And I think passing up Wisp, they're completely okay with that trade.
Yeah.
So
And especially with the bans that came out, like you understood, like you got Gyro and Quap, you're never going to pick a Tining into this, or at least you don't want to pick a Tining into this. And what's your other option? The Bristleback, he got banned out in the second phase, and then you...
The laning decision was just really good by Vega, too. Like, them being able to dodge that tri-lane almost just won them the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So, with the first game already over, Merlini's prediction is out. No quick, clean 3-0 for Na'Vi. Vega Squadron managing to take that first game. Draskell, you were watching the series the whole entire time. What did you think?
I thought it was kind of weird how Na'Vi, they get a tower at like 3 minutes, and then I think they rotated their Dazzle down to bottom lane instead of maybe trying to pressure the Enigma a little bit more. Because Vega, they went and they contested Funnick's farm and the safe lane, and then Funnick was just running around in the woods contesting the Enigma for a little while, and then Solo was able to recover. He eventually got his mech. I think he still got it at around like 15 minutes, maybe a tiny bit later. The big change for me, though, was the Roshan, where they pretty much lost 5 heroes, even though Na'Vi actually secured the first Roshan. They lose Havos twice, and they lose, I think, everyone but Dendi, I want to say.
Yeah, it was everyone but Dendi.
I mean, even at that point, it's like, okay, well, now you have this lineup where you're going to get your Sven kited 24/7. Ben brought that up during the game. All you have to do is roar Black Hole to Sven, and then the damage output once BKBs are up on Vega, you don't kill anyone. So
do you agree with Ben about the drafting point that, like, Gyrocopter, Queen of Pain, it's a dream opening for 6.84? Do you think that was a mistake by Na'Vi, or was it just the draft was fine, they just made some critical errors in game, most notably that Roshan fight?
I'm not sure if there's anything else they could have paired with the Wisp, because that's the first thing that comes to mind. Was there anything else that they could have picked in that draft that would have been a better Wisp pairing than Sven? And I mean, you could think of any hero that's not melee, right? Because you're playing against BM and Black Hole. You don't really want to play a melee hero. But I think in a way their opening was stronger. So I do think that Vega did outdraft them.
Okay. Toby, any last thoughts?
I'm looking good.
All right.
Well, Cap and I are still on as well.
Yeah,
right?
we're perfectly fine. 3-1. We both said that Vega would take a game in this series, but we'll see whether or not that comes out to be true. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll have game number 2 between Na'Vi and Vega Squadron.
She actually has to stop moving for now. The Midnight Pulse from Solo trying to split the fight up a little bit more, but no